6 verses. And I want us to look at the burning bush, particularly, I think, verse 2. Yeah, verse 2 and 3. So those are the verses that I want you to pay attention to. You can just listen or you can just read along with me as I read for you. But think about, how does this burning bush and Moses noticing the burning bush similar to any other story in the book of Exodus? Okay, so once again, I want you to pay closer attention to verse 2 and 3 and see if there is any parallel or similar story or people group to the burning bush in the book of Exodus. Okay? So we're just working with chapter 1, 2, and 3 at this point. And this is the first reading for tonight. Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian. And he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. Moses looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called him out of the bush. Moses, Moses, he said, here I am. Then he said, do not come near. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Amen. Okay, when you're ready, please comment on the comment section. Share your thoughts. How is burning bush similar to another story or people group in Exodus? If you have a hard time answering that, we can all start out by sharing some of the details of the burning bush and how Moses notices the burning bush. Okay, actually, why don't we do that? What are some of the things that you notice about the burning bush? Yeah, it's weird that it's not burning up. I agree. Oh, okay. The question is, well, let's just share some details about the burning bush. What do you notice about the burning bush? and the way that Moses noticed the burning bush. Bright fire, not burning. Moses had to check it out. Yep, there's a voice within the fire, within the burning bush. Yeah. That because of the burning bush, the vicinity became the holy ground. That's right. We have 1, 2, 4, 12. Yeah. I think everyone said what pretty much what needs to be said, but is there anyone else? What do you notice about the burning bush in chapter 3 of Exodus? So look, verse 2. Let's see. Annotate. Fancy, fancy. All right. Let's get rid of this. Oh, that's not me. Yeah, so we noticed that the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. Moses looked, and behold, the bush was. Oh, this is confusing now. I can't get rid of the highlight. Forget it. So here's the thing. Yeah, angel was there somewhere far into the wilderness. So let's bring those thoughts together. Okay, so this tonight is a little bit more of a Bible study. Where do you see another story in Exodus where something is, and this is metaphorical, okay, symbolic, is burning up but is not consumed? Okay, we're trying to understand a possible meaning of the burning bush tonight. Okay, so what could possibly mean? Why does God appear in a burning bush? Why not a tornado or lightning or another angel form, simply just like he met with Jacob? Why a burning bush? And we're trying to take the best guess possible by looking at another similar event in Exodus where it reminds you of another burning bush, where something is burnt or something is burning up, but it's not consumed. What do you think? And there's no real right answer, guys. Ah, yes. Israelites. They're on fire, but they're not consumed. Anybody else? Anyone else with the same thought? You guys are awfully quiet tonight. Well, since Susie hit it right on the head of the nail, we're going to go with that tonight. Like I said, there is no right answer because the Bible doesn't say, okay, that this is it. This is what burning bush means. But we are left to meditate upon why does God appear to Moses in a burning bush. There are two interesting things here, at least. One is that there is fire in the bush, in and around it, but the bush is not consumed. And this is a supernatural fire and naturally piques the curiosity of Moses. Somebody once told me that wild bushfire in the desert is fairly a common thing. I mean, not like every day or every lunch hour or anything like that, but it is a sight that can be held every once in a while. But Moses found this really interesting because it wasn't being consumed like the other fires that he may have spotted while he was shepherding his flock. And if we were to put on our theologian hat or just simply a life Devo hat, and if we were to pause for a moment and think about it, we realize that perhaps this is an indication of God who is calling out from the fire. And that's the second interesting thing, that it is the voice is from the fire where it's burning, but it's not consumed. So the presence of God is with his people who are going through suffering, yet he holds them together so that they are not consumed. Okay? So now that we have that sort of unpacked and neatly tucked into our heart, I'm going to read it for you one more time. And maybe this time you can take a moment to think about, how is that relevant to me? And where in my life do I feel that I am on fire? Not like you're doing well, but in a bad way, you're on fire. But I want God to not consume me, prevent my consumption as a result of being on fire. So let's look at, how is this text relevant to me in my own personal life as I read the second time. Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian. And he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush. Moses, Moses, he said, here I am. Then he said, do not come near. Take the sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Okay, If you want to comment, please do. If there's somewhere where you need God's help to preserve you, let's share that together. Oh, awfully quiet tonight, everyone. I'm very surprised. Hmm. Okay, I want to pose another question for you then. Okay, thank you, Linda. And that's something that I wanted to, that was the next question that I wanted to ask you guys. How is this passage relevant to your immediate community or larger community? Is there a group that, or people that you know are going through fire, that they're in need, that they are suffering? Do you know of any group like that? So let's take a moment um, to think, is there someone besides myself, beside my own personal life, is there someone else that I need to look at and be cognizant of? Susie, thank you for your honesty. Yes, the elderly, healthcare workers, people out of work. I know some of you dropped off some food for Adam House, so I really appreciate that. Hmm. Is there anyone else in your life where you feel specifically, Susie has pinpointed precisely, like that person that she needs, that who she knows that is going through suffering? Do you know anyone like that in our church, in your workplace, in your school, clients, customers that you interact with? Hmm. Thank you for sharing, Mac. Thank you, Crystal. Hmm. Yeah, that's right. If we just sit down and look, yeah, our parents. Yeah. So one thing that we should notice in this text is that Moses looked and he was curious and he noticed the nature of the fire. And it was sort of a divine fire because he didn't need fuel, and he that caught his eye. And the Lord didn't speak to him until Moses actually paid attention. And I wonder what that means. Um, I have some guesses, but I won't get into that tonight. So I think for us, it's important that we pause and we look at our own suffering and also the suffering of others. And part of it is simply a cliche of putting yourself into the other person's shoes. And part of it is, if it is your own suffering, hunkering down in your prayer, recognizing that the Lord's voice is coming not from the heavens, but from the fire. And although fire is all consuming, it is all over the bush and inside the bush, in the same way that every family members of the Hebrew family are consumed, are surrounded by suffering and sorrow, but the Lord will not let that suffering be the final answer and the final ultimate reality. He will not let them be consumed by it because he has chosen them. And we are certainly chosen by Christ or through Christ, and that gives us hope and allows us to go through our own suffering in stride. I'm going to do the third and last reading for us tonight, and it's the verses that follows the encounter, Moses' encounter with God through the burning bush. Then the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. I know their sufferings. And I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and Jebusites. And now behold, the cry of the people of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppress them. Come, I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, to the children of Israel, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? He said, but I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that I have sent you when you have brought the people out of Egypt. You shall serve God on this mountain. Then Moses said, if I come to the people of Israel and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me, and they ask me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, say this to the people of Israel, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and thus I am to be remembered throughout all generations. Amen. I want you to look at this text and imagine the challenge and the curiosity and confusion in Moses' part. In chapter 4, Moses says, I am slow in speech. I'm not eloquent enough to go. And scholars have many guesses as to what that means. But basically what Moses is saying is, why me? Why is this calling coming upon me? And I've been a shepherd for 40 years, and I don't really know these people, and they don't know me. And I want to conclude tonight by saying that, one, as you look at your role to the community and other people that are suffering, whether it's through coronavirus or being stuck in a house together or whatever the case might be, what is your calling in that? How would you ease and how would you bring peace and how would you respond to the suffering that you witness in the other person's life? I think as you wonder about that, the first thing that will come to your mind is, of course, why me? I don't want to. This is hard, and it is. But so I want you to come to the Lord and ask the Lord, is it really my responsibility to care? Is there something really that I need to do for them? And I would like to encourage you to wrestle with that and pray with God and read rest of chapter 3 and 4 and see what God has to say about that and how God deals with Moses' doubt, insecurities, and confusion. And see if there is a calling for you that God is impressing upon you. Okay? Official Dan, you have a question? No? Yes? Okay, so in conclusion, should we not fight our fire before we can help others? Hmm. I want you to think about that answer. I want you to meditate on that answer through meditating on the story of Moses. Does Moses still have fire in his life? Is there unresolved suffering and emptiness that Moses has that maybe God should have addressed first before before Moses can address the suffering of others? And you're right, then you need to be really honest about helping others before helping yourself. But when God calls, I find that it's not always in a logical step. And sometimes He puts fire in us and He calls us to dress the wounds of others while recognizing that we still have wounds ourselves. So thank you for that question. And I want you to think about that. Okay. Sorry for throwing the answer back at you, back into your court. Yeah, and that's one of the debates that people have. Love your neighbor as yourself, but do we have to love ourselves first to love others? And that's up to a debate. But surprisingly, scripturally speaking, um, I think it's not that you love yourself first and you can love others. I know psychologists say that a lot, and I'm not a psychologist, so they might be absolutely right. I don't know, but I think Christian perspective is that know that you are loved, know that you are God's beloved, and love your neighbor as yourself. Not so much love yourself first, care for yourself first, do the things that you need to do, and enjoy the things that you need to have or whatever. I know you're not going that far. But I think Christian perspective is recognizing that you are already beloved. You don't have to do anything to be loved, or or even you can unearn love, as someone once said. So then I hope that makes sense. It's food for thought for sure. Okay, guys, we went over. Well, actually, we're 2 minutes under time ish. But thank you so much. I want to say